I will now bring this meeting of the Union Bay Improvement District to order. This is the meeting for January the 18th, 2018. Belated Happy New Year to everyone. I would also like to extend a welcome to some people from Sandy Bay, Beaufort Watershed Stewards. Thank you very much for attending. Thank you. Okay, the first order of business is that there are no recording devices are permitted here. We are making a recording of the meeting yourself, so please turn off all your recorders at this time, including yourself. There will be a question period at the end of the meeting for all landowners to talk all the questions they have. Usual rules apply. They have to be questions and put forward with some form of civility. The next order of business will be the adoption of the agenda. Could I have a motion from the board here to adopt the agenda as presented? Okay, do I have a seconder for that motion?
Second.
Okay, Trustee Dawson, put forward the motion. Trustee Vitt, second. Okay. Okay, therefore, unless there's no objections, the agenda is adopted. Next, we move on to the approval of minutes. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes of the December 14, 2017 public meeting as presented?
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Okay, motion is by Trustee Bittner. Could I get a seconder for that?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay. All those in favor? Okay. Motion carries. Okay. Now we get to the heart of the matter here, and Mr. Mason, you would be so kind if you could give us
Can everybody hear me? Or should I use the mic?
Use the mic.
Okay, I'll use the mic.
Okay, Gordon, use the mic.
Okay, so the first item on my report is a water infrastructure agreement. UBID will hold some public information sessions in late February, at which time property owners can learn more about the water treatment plant process and the associated borrowing and costs related with the process. The session will include, it'll provide an opportunity for property owners to get a clear sense of what the plant will look like and what it will achieve for the community. It will provide opportunity for attendees to lead with written comments or questions which can be followed up by district staff afterwards. Illustrate the amount of property and we'll have owner education that has taken place to date. We'll illustrate the benefits that the project will provide to the community. We'll show how much the project will cost and how the cost will be financed and funded. I will discuss how the current agreement with Kensington reduces cost to the property owners by providing land for the plant and the future fire hall. The agreement also facilitates the development of properties that will contribute to the cost of debt repayment and plant operations. Is it working? Oh, this thing. Sorry about that. That's fine. So UBID will try and replicate as much of this information as feasible on our website. And in order to provide an alternative opportunity for property owners to receive information, ask questions, and provide their comments. So all this information will be replicated on the website as well. We will continue to keep the landowners well posted of our progress in that direction. And also we hired a consultant to help with the process, to putting the public consultation package together, working with myself, Coors Engineering, and the government, or the ministry. Logging the watershed. The process of protecting the water supply of Green Bay has been a lengthy one for us, and is designed to protect the landowner's interests. UBID is keeping Island Health informed of our progress by forwarding the details of the DAP plant progress to John Hillis, the District Environmental Health Officer, of our progress. Additionally, John will be joining us for a meeting with Peter, Danny, our Public Works Superintendent, and myself with Island Timberlands in late January to discuss the logging in the Langley Lake watershed 2018. John supports our intentions to protect our watershed, so he's helping us and he's supporting us in that effort. Additionally, we have to really support Chair Jakes as well. He's put a whole bunch of effort into writing letters to the following organizations and garnering support from different organizations as well. The Honorable Doug Thompson, Ministry of Forest, Lands and Natural Resources, Resource Operations and Rural Development. He sent 2 letters to the Honorable Scott Fraser, who is the Indigenous Affairs and Reconciliation Minister, and also to Island Health, to both John Hillis and Charmaine Entz, and to Island Timberlands, to different levels within their staff as well, which includes Ken Epps, who is the area manager for this area. And we've also had meetings with Comox First Nations to garner their support, and we have their support as well, and we're putting together a letter with them to be able to move that forward as well. These letters have been written to garner support to delay and halt the proposed forestry operations by Island Timberlands in the Langley Lake watershed. Additionally, as probably a lot of you in this room have heard, Chair Jakes had an excellent 8-minute interview with CBC on Tuesday afternoon, so it really helps to push our cause forward. I noticed as well we were on the front page of the paper today as well. So obviously our point is getting out there, and we're absolutely moving in the right direction in that respect. The last thing I want to talk about is a 3-part comprehensive study. I had a quite lengthy meeting with the ministry yesterday regarding 3 things: remaining as an improvement district, 2, becoming a municipality or village similar to Cumberland, or merging with the regional district. And one of the things that the ministry really put forward to me is that my main priority right now, and the main priority of the Union Bay Improvement District right now, is to build a water plant and get safe drinking water for our community. But saying that, we're not going to step away from the 3 things that I talked about, which I'll read again, which is remaining an improvement district, number 2, becoming a municipality or a village, similar to Cumberland, or number 3, merging with the regional district. But the one thing that they brought forward to me was that any one of these things, other than remaining as an improvement district, is going to take a significant amount of work from myself and the district staff. We have a very small district staff, as you're well aware. There's myself, a part-time assistant, and a public works superintendent and a laborer, as well as the volunteer fire department. That's it. So the current priorities of the UBID staff are, of course, running the district safely, which is providing safe drinking water for the residents of Union Bay and trying to do it as efficiently and effectively as possible. Also, our second biggest priority is building the water plant. It's taken the majority of my time in the last probably 6 months since I started putting together the agreement with Kensington, figure out what type of water plant we're going to use, finding the land, doing the whole process to acquire the land. And our third priority is completing the accounting and meter reading software upgrade, which is probably going to happen in the spring. I would have liked to have done it a lot sooner, but we just don't have the manpower. And we're going to try and get it done in the spring, because if we don't collect revenue, it's kind of hard to do the rest of it. We don't have the money rolling in, right? So those are our 3 biggest priorities, and that's the direction we're going to take. And Trustee Bitton is going to talk a little bit more about that further along in the agenda. And that's my report for tonight.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mason. Next, we'll move on to the fire chief's report, and if you'd be so kind, Trustee Benton, since you are the chair of the committee now, to read out the report.
Can everybody hear me? I probably don't need the mic. Hello. Okay, the Union Bay Fire Rescue Fire Chief's report. The primary purpose of this report is to keep the Union Bay Improvement District Board informed as to the activities and progress on major programs and or objectives. Incident summary: the department responded to 6 incidents in December. Incident category: first responder. Number calls 4. Alarm activated, no fire. Number of calls 1. Motor vehicle incident. Number of calls 2. Monthly fire response statistics: total time worked 4 hours 40 minutes. Average time on call 40 minutes. Total number of responders 18. Average number of responders 3. Open fire bans in Coastal Fire Center: currently there are no open burning bans in place. UBID currently does not have any open burning bylaws of its own. Therefore, we fall under the jurisdiction of the Coastal Fire Center. There are currently no open fire burning restrictions. Refer to the BC Wildlife Management Branch website for the latest information on current restrictions and fire danger ratings. The Coastal Fire Center does not issue fire permits of any kind. However, a registration number for a Category 3 pile, which is greater than 3 meters in width, 2 meters in height, is required. No registration number for a Category 2 pile is required, which is less than 3 meters by 2 meters in width and height. A registration number can be obtained by phoning the Coastal Fire Center at 1-250-951-4222. Regardless of the current burning conditions, the provincial venting index must be followed. It determines when you can burn according to the latest atmospheric conditions. It is a provincial piece of legislation governing air quality throughout the province. You cannot light an open fire of any kind unless the current rating is good. Failure to do so results in a $1,150 fine. The venting index can be found online by going to a website that I'm not going to try and read through. Fire index, and using the Central Vancouver Island as your location. The local office of the Environment Ministry in Nanaimo can be reached at 1-250-751-3100 to obtain the current index rating. Remember, it is everyone's responsibility to follow these rules in order to protect air shed from being abused and to protect the health of your neighbors. All these links can also be found on the UBID website. So training report, ongoing. Vehicles and vehicle safety, nothing new to report. Membership, current strength is 16 members. 2 members had to be released due to their new work locations. Fire hall, nothing new to report. Occupational health and safety, nothing new to report. Public relations and events, nothing new to report. Submitted, Mark Jackson, Fire Chief.
Okay, thank you very much for that report, Trustee Bitton. And now, Trustee Elliott, if you could do the same for the public works report.
Sure. Can everybody hear me? Yes, no? Very good.
This mic switched on.
Public Works report. It's been an unusually slow winter as only a few breaks have occurred, no freeze-ups and cold.
It's not on.
Not on? No. I'll try to speak a little louder. There you go. Okay. There's been no freeze-ups in cold weather. The lake is doing very well as the rain fell with snow and no high rainfall events happened, except today. Our turbidity is slowly rising, but has been under 1 NTU up until January and is still sitting at 1.06 NTUs. This has been the best water quality that we've had yet throughout the fall and the winter. Turbidity is being sampled at the last weekly to help calibrate the analyzers, and also an independent result from the Ministry of Health. If they were to ask questions, the analyzers and our results. The culverts around the lake are also being tested for turbidity with our mobile unit. The tests are quite good, with only a few readings over 1 NTU, and very low flows through the culverts, which is a major contribution to the quality of water we've been seeing. No signs of any future logging so far. All bacteriological samples have been negative, and chloride residuals are all in Ministry of Health parameters. As of August 2015, the Public Works report, there are a couple little excerpts from those reports. The service truck replacement. The Chev truck needs extensive repairs to pass inspection. The Dodge is running okay. I recommend that the Chevy be replaced as soon as possible with a new 1-ton extra cab 4x4, and the Dodge replaced with a used small dump truck in the year 2016. The existing canopy will be transferred to the new service truck. This truck will be the daily driver, and the dump truck will be used for repairs, hauling, spoil, and new road crushing, etc. Currently, the Chev was replaced in October 2015, and the Dodge made it another year, and now has been gone for a year with no backup. We have had problems with the Ford service truck, thus relying on my personal truck to be Union Bay Improvement District service vehicle. This has put our commitment to delivering a safe and reliable product to our customers in jeopardy, and honestly is embarrassing pulling up to a job site or a service call in my truck. I will be renting a vehicle next time the situation occurs. The water stats, incoming water 1.11 NTU, outgoing 0.98 NTU, chlorine residual 1.95 ppm free, water consumption 350 cubic meters per day, the line lake height is 10 centimeters, and the water temperature is 6.4 degrees Celsius. And that's respectfully submitted by Dan McGill, our Public Works Superintendent.
Thank you for that, Trustee Elliott. Could I get a motion from the board that these reports be filed as per our legal practice?
So moved. Second it.
All in favor? Okay. That motion is carried, and those reports will be filed. Okay, we next move on to new or other business, and I believe Trustee Benton has something you'd like to go forward regarding a letter to the CBRD regarding conversion. This was brought up at a committee a couple of meetings actually.
First off, I'd like to thank Gord for his proactive approach on how to deal with this subject of, I call it the future state of the Union Bay Improvement District. One of the things that people have to realize is, as trustees, our main concern is running our business. I think at times it's lost in the ongoing issues that we are running a business, and the key point to our business is supplying an adequate amount of safe and clean drinking water. And our employees, to do that, are taxed, to say the least, to make that happen. So I think Gord has handled the situation very well, where we need to take control of doing these studies and do it as we can, when we can. Our administrator, I don't know if anybody knows it, but he's working 50 hours a week right now. He's paid for 37 hours a week. So I don't know if anybody in this room really wants to start a study that he would have to partake in to take him away from his work. Chair, there's somebody disrupting.
Yes, please, ma'am, you have to wait till after.
I didn't say anything.
You have to wait for that.
I didn't say
After the meeting
anything.
for.
Anyway, so we have a business to run. I hope people appreciate that. Gord is very focused on what he's doing. We've made huge strides. We've got an agreement with the developer. We've got a piece of property. We're working on the filtration plant. So I think he's done a very good job on deciding to control these studies and to understand, take them on, understand what's involved in them, and then see if we can commit the time to take it on. And of course, again, he's prioritized our priorities. Number one, running the improvement district, which would include providing water. Number two, completing the water treatment plant. And number three, completing the accounting and metering reading software. So again, hands off to you, Gord. So just to follow up with this, I'd like to make a motion about Union Bay's improvements future state, I call it. I make a motion that we support our administrator's direction on his study of the future state of the Union Bay Improvement District. This allows our administrator to strategically meet our immediate and long-term goals. Supporting this future state study would eliminate the need to contact the CBRD with a letter requesting a study and a referendum. I second that.
Thank you very much for that motion. Therefore, we now have a motion on the floor, and it has been proposed by Trustee Benton, and it's been seconded by Trustee Lawson. And I will again read the motion. I make a motion that we support our administrator's direction on his study of the future state of Union Bay Improvement District. This allows our administrator to strategically meet our immediate and long-term goals. Supporting this future state study would eliminate the need to contact the CBRD with a letter requesting a study and a referendum. Okay, we'll now turn that motion over for discussion, and Trustee Benton, it's your motion. If you would go ahead.
Well, I think I've said my piece. The other thing people need to understand, we also need to provide a good working environment for our employees. There are assets they're the ones that make us function. You know, I don't know, a motion was put out to do this study, and there's such a large force trying to push this just about every meeting. But, you know, just consider if you were working somewhere and your employer all of a sudden decided that he was going to sell out and somebody's going to buy him out. As an employee, where would you be? So throwing these things out without throwing them out at a meeting without even having them on the agenda, without even studying it, without even talking to our employees about it, is really creating an issue. And we have very dedicated employees here. If we lose them, where are we going to get any other people to come here? So, really think about what we're doing here. Our job here is to run a business, and our business is to provide you with water. And if your water stops running next week, the regional district isn't going to be down here getting the water to your house.
Trustee.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. Well, I certainly appreciate all your points of view. And I certainly do appreciate the hard work of our administrator. Don't ever get me wrong on that one. But given that the CBRD has offered to do item 3 of the first 3 bullets in the administrative report. That is merge with the regional district, and that study actually was not to merge. It was just to identify the pros and cons of joining, and to identify the costs to the landowners of joining or not joining. And that was going to be done through an independent body, through the CBRD planning grant study. So I see that as taking work off the administrator's plate, not adding to his workload. And you know, while I certainly do appreciate the other points you made about, you know, what does that do to the employees? We as trustees, our job, we're responsible to the taxpayers. You know, we need to provide a good working environment for our employees, and I don't see how just identifying pros and cons for the landowners, so the landowners can make decisions whether or not they want to go down the path of joining the regional district, and yes, perhaps becoming a municipality. We've had that discussion before. It was a very, very long and tedious process that we went through. I'm also curious how the board plans to deal with the motion that was passed at the November meeting about sending a letter to the CBRD, and also the motion that was then passed at the committee of the whole meeting. It was a recommendation that hasn't come forward yet to this meeting. So I'm curious how we're going to stick handle those kinds of things, and I guess as time goes on, we'll find out. But don't get me wrong, I fully support the administrator, and I know all parties working. But as we grow, you know, as development comes to this community, we need to have some of these answers, and the sooner we have them, the better off we're going to be, because the next major infrastructure project that may come along, if we're not ready, we're all going to be paying for it ourselves. We're not going to be able to go for any infrastructure grant funding, as we all know, improvement districts can't receive that funding. So at the very least, I think we should go ahead and ask the regional district to do what they said they would be willing to do for us in terms of looking at the pros and cons of joining the regional district.
Okay, so in no way anybody said that we weren't doing this study. And I think it's just very wise that instead of going and asking somebody to do a study and having no control over it, I've been involved in a lot of studies in the logging industry, and one in particular I can remember very well where this study was initiated. I thought it was a great idea until I found out it's tied up for 10 or 12 hours a week answering questions for about 2 months straight. So I'm not naive enough to think that if they're trying to understand how an improvement district works, the financial status, the employees, the revenues, who are they going to have to get the information from? There's only one person. So let's think about, Gord has handled this very well. Now Gord is in charge, and he's asking the questions. He'll research it. He'll find out how much time is involved and committed, and then we're going to carry on with it that way. So I see nobody is saying we're not going to do it anyway. We're just going to manage it properly. Thank you.
Trustee Robson, your comment.
Yes, I agree. I think Trustee Fitton explains it very well. That again, my concerns also is that as long as our administrator is not overwhelmed with extra work, our priority is that filtration system right now. You know, and if, when we do it, is to compare all three.
Yes, I believe you weigh in on this information.
Like, from my perspective, I've already started the process. I'm going to be meeting with the regional district to talk about this and find out exactly what's involved in the study and exactly how the study is going to be done. I've also met with the ministry, who has also met with the regional district about this already. They've already been having conversations about this. So it's out there. I'm not saying that I'm saying that this is a priority, but I have to fit it in with the rest of the work that's being done here right now. And like I said earlier, my main priority is right now running the district, building the water plant, getting the building system done, and this is going to fit in between that. And both the ministry and the CBRD have said the main priority of the new improvement district right now is building a water plant. And that's what I'm going to do.
Okay, anything further? All right, so we have a motion on the floor. We'll now take a vote on that motion. Those in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Those not in favor of the motion, raise your hands. Okay, it's 2-1. So therefore, the motion is carried, and we'll move forward. Let's see what we have next here on the agenda. We have correspondence section here. We have correspondence concerning bylaw 264. I haven't really had a chance to read through this, but I understand that you have, Ms. Mason. Would you probably give us the lowdown of what the letter says?
Yeah, basically, Tara Faganello, the Assistant Deputy Minister, wrote a letter to Trustee Pelger regarding bylaw 264, which was the bylaw to upgrade our present infrastructure, and basically says that that the board has agreed that we're not going to do it right now, and she's basically agreed with that, and it's not going to get involved because we have voted that we're not going to move forward at this time with that motion. I'm not going to read through the whole letter; it's quite lengthy, so it would take a while. But she does appreciate the concerns of Trustee Pelger. However, from this time, our approval rollover for local bylaws can be interrupted by government changes at the board level, and we always make sure that when we are proceeding to an approval, that the current board still endorses the bylaw. At any point in time, UBID can choose to amend its bylaw or enact new ones. On a positive note, I saw that UBID unanimously endorsed the new water agreement with Kinston Properties, and I trust this is a positive step for your community. There's more here, but that's basically the long and short of it. This will be included in the minutes as well. So it'll be all, when these minutes are approved at our next meeting, they will be online.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mason. The other item of correspondence we had is a great issue. It's from a local landowner, Miss Mary Jo Curtis. It's basically expressing disappointment over the fact that we have not contacted the CBRD with a study about perhaps eventually joining with them. I believe, in view of what's transpired here tonight, I will be preparing a reply for Ms. Purvis, explaining to her the motion that was passed to see that should hopefully bring her up. Next will be
Peter, may I ask something? it's not quite the appropriate place in this isn't quite the appropriate place in the agenda, but I'm sure many of the landowners that are here this evening would be very interested in finding out the status of the land transfer, and I know you guys are putting out a landowner update very soon, so perhaps Peter or Gordon, you could let the landowners know where that process is at.
Gordon, I'm going to defer to you on this, since you're the hands-on that.
Yes, I was talking to our lawyer, Peter Johnson, earlier in the week, and basically there's a few very small items that have to be tidied up with it, but probably 90 to 95% of the transfer has been completed. There is a few small tidy up issues that he basically told me that has to be completed, and then the land transfer will be completed.
Do we have an expected date?
I never asked for the expected date, so I don't know, but I can find that out.
Yeah, the only reason I asked if we have an expected date is because we are preparing to have that public meeting soon to bring all the landowners up to date on what the costs are going to be, and I think until we secure the land, I don't know if we're able to get those costs for tours. Perhaps we can on the basis that the land is going to be ours, but so from my understanding of reading the landowner's update, what Peter had put out was the title is just waiting to be transferred at the land titles office, and everyone has signed off on any encumbrances and anything that would prevent the transfer from going through, and I think that are now waiting for land titles to finalize the transfer. Is that correct?
That's what I understand. I'm not a lawyer, so, but he told me that there's nothing to worry about.
That was my understanding as well, and hopefully we'll be hearing something very soon. Can't give you a date, but we're hopeful it'll be very soon. Okay, so that concludes the business part of the meeting. So now we can, we'll have a question period for the.
I have one.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, can you tell me, as Trustee Elliott mentioned, what happened to the motion from the November 16th meeting? You can't just ignore that. And also, I have another question regarding the Committee of the Whole, because you said at the last December meeting that that would be brought forward to this meeting. Trustee Elliott asked at that time.
Yes.
Also, how many COW meetings have you had in the last year? And have you brought stuff forward from those meetings?
I think we have to take one question.
Well, you let somebody last time ask two at a time.
What's your first question?
First question is, what happened to the motion from the November 16th meeting that was approved? You said, and I quote you, there's no harm in getting information. So I wondered why you changed your mind. What harm did you come across?
Well, I don't believe we did change our mind. It's just,
well, then where's the motion?
the motion was passed.
Yes, the motion from the November meeting was passed.
Now, we just passed the motion this evening, which basically means the same thing.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that's my interpretation. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
There was a study done then on whether or not to join the pros and cons of joining the regional district. So why do we have to reinvent the wheel? I mean,
Yeah, I was not on the board when that study took place, so I really can't answer that.
It was to become a
Times have
municipality.
changed.
there must be a document they need to look at as guidelines to where these.
That was to become a municipality.
Order. Need to get order, Mr. Chair.
Please. Ma'am, yes, there could very well be some sort of template there that we could set in the future. Next, anybody else? Yes.
Yes, that was a study about becoming a municipality, and there was even, I think, a $20,000 government grant in which a company came in that set up municipalities in the province and specified everything right down to the tax savings that Union Bay would have received. After that study was done, then there was a vote taken, and it never passed by, I think it was around 6 votes.
Okay, well,
That's correct.
is that okay? Yes.
Yeah, so there has been a study done, and there's never been a failure of a municipality in the province.
Oh my God, who's going to fund it?
Thank you very much for that. Yes, ma'am.
So my concern about the district is exactly a range of things that you've spoken about in this meeting. And that is what's in front of us are a whole series of what could be very expensive and very complex processes. And my concern is that as hard as everybody is working, we don't have the capacity to handle what's coming at us. We don't have the financial capacity, we don't have the staff capacity. And I think that there needs to be a very, very hard look at that. That's what part of the impetus is, to be looking at whether we need to be a different kind of structure. And I really, really seriously would want this, like I don't want to find us 2 years down the road looking at another big infrastructure project and realize that we don't have the capacity to raise the funds for it. And that we're looking at another 3-year process of figuring out how to change our structure. So we have to be looking at this now, constantly, I think. And I would very much want a regular report coming from the administrator about, and I'm sorry that wasn't an amendment to this motion. A regular report to us about what you're finding, even if it's not the first thing on your list. I really don't want it to fall off the agenda, because I don't want us to be in a position, 2 or 3 years from now, where we do not have the capacity. We don't have the capacity really to handle what's in front of us right now.
Do you want to? Okay, thank you very much for your comment. Yes, ma'am, question?
That on to that, I have page 25 and 26 of Mr. Madison's report
Yes.
in front of me. And I'm very confused. I couldn't quite follow the motion with all due respect. But does the motion passed tonight comply with the recommendations of Mr. Madison's report?
Oh, what specifically is the
The
recommendation?
recommendations. The ministry should urge the UBID Board of Trustees to do a costs, benefits, pros and cons study of turning the assets of UBID over to the CBRD. Ministry should continue to encourage and facilitate a close working relationship between UBID and the CBRD with the long-term goal of turning over their assets to the CBRD. And that over the next year, as you said, the focus should be on the water treatment plant. But the study for the pros and cons of joining the CBRD should start now. And many of the reasons that Mr. Madison gave have been mentioned here already because of the complexity of what we're going forward into and how large community may become in the future, and the demands on the staff, and that the CBRD has staff on hand. I even thought when we were talking about Dan Deal's truck, CBRD probably has trucks.
Yes, well, thank you for your comment. I believe that the motion passed tonight, and again, this is my opinion, does cover that part of it. Also, the direction that we're getting, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Mason, from the ministry is that they want to see a couple of things done before we go anywhere with amalgamation, either as a standalone local improvement district with the CBRD or with municipality. The impression that we get, again, correct me if I'm wrong, from the ministry is that, first of all, they want to see something done about the safety of our water supply. As you know, right now, we're facing some very serious problems with timberlands who intend to log in the watershed. That is, as far as I'm concerned, our number one priority.
But I understood this.
Just let me finish now. And the other priority that they have established for us is the production of a water treatment plant, which we are well on our way towards implementing. How long these projects will take, I can't tell you, but until such a time as we've got those two matters in place, and the other one that moves in the offing is that within 2 years we have to acquire the land from KEP for the fire hall. This has been part of the contract, but that's been put on a back burner right now due to some development issues. It will happen. It's just that we can't take on two major projects at the same time. So hopefully that answers some of your questions.
But I may have misunderstood again, but I thought that the study was at no cost to UBID, and that it was not to be done by UBID staff.
I talked to the ministry yesterday. I was in a meeting with them yesterday, and they have met with the CBRD as well. And the direction I received from the ministry is that UBID's first priority right now is to build a water treatment plant.
Yes.
Okay? And I'm also meeting next week with the CBRD to investigate what's included in this study. Also, I was at the same meeting that Jim was at with the CBRD, and there was, all that they said was that they would need a letter from us to be able to start the process. There was nothing about funding, there was none of that part of it. So that's why I'm meeting with the CBRD next week, to be able to figure out exactly what's involved in this. And then I promised that I would bring it back to the next board meeting and I would report what comes out of these meetings. But I got very clear direction from the ministry, who that report was generated for, that our first priority, because of the mandates that have been sent down or imposed on us from the Vancouver Health Authority, is to build a water treatment plant for the residents of Union Bay and have clean, safe drinking water. And that's what we're trying to accomplish first. I agree with all the points that are in there, and I agree that we have to move forward with this as well. But we have to walk before we run here. We are very active in the whole. We're very active right now in the design process with Bridge Engineering. Whether it's going to be finished by August would be. It's going to be touch and go. There's a lot to be done between now and then. And but the nice thing is there's a very similar plant being built right now in Sayward, which is a little bit bigger than our plant, and it's a little bit bigger than our plant. It's a 20 liter per second plant, so we'll be able to, and their tender ends at the end of this month. So we're going to be able to have very accurate costs with probably, very close to what it's going to cost us. So that'll really help us regarding moving forward with the costing part of it and establishing a financial plan for the plant. But I agree, we have to move forward with the CBRD study. We have to move forward looking at it from a municipal perspective as well. And that's why I've set up a meeting next week with the CBRD to move forward with that. I've been talking to the ministry. The ministry has set very clear direction with me with what they want me to make my priorities. And that's the direction that I'm going to take right now. But I'm all for this. But we just have to do it in a way that makes sense for all the residents of Union Bay, and some of the residents of Union Bay think it's a good idea to move to municipality as well. So we have to look at every alternative. So, and we want to do it right. You know, we want to make sure that we do it right. And I'll be completely honest with you guys. Next week, if I go meet with the CBRD and they tell me that this is not going to take any amount of my time, I'll be all over it. Why not? But I want to hear it from them. I want to hear it from them. I want to be able to hear from them that that's what it's going to be. Because, like Rick, I've been involved in these type of studies before, and they say, oh, it's just do it off the side of your desk. It's just going to be a little bit of work. But right now, with building this water treatment plant, that's got to be right front center on my desk. Also, running this district efficiently is going to be front and center on my desk. But then on the other hand, we also have a billing system that's failing almost every day because the software has been discontinued. So we have to be able to collect our revenue to be able to operate this business as well. So there's lots going on right now. And I really agree with the one lady sitting right beside you that talked about, you know, our resources here being stretched. And, you know, and maybe down, you know, maybe in the next couple of months, so I can get my head above water here, we'll have to look at some other alternative plans to put some strategic plans in place to say, hey, maybe we need some help in some of these areas. Maybe we hire a consultant to do the billing system. You know, maybe we get some more support with regards to the water treatment plant, right? So there's lots we can do. But we have to, like I said earlier, we have to walk before we run. I'm going to meet with the regional district next week. I have another meeting with the ministry tomorrow afternoon, and we'll just be as proactive as possible. So.
Thanks, Gordon. And I'm not sure that you were at the first meeting that I attended the CBRD, whether it was yourself or former administrator, but the CBRD did say very clearly to us that there was a planning grant. I believe it was a planning grant or it was gas tax money. I can't remember exactly which, but there was money available to hire a consultant to do the study on the pros and cons of joining the CBRD.
I'll find out next week.
And I'm glad to hear you say you're going to meet with them and you're going to get that information from them and hopefully report back to us at the next meeting, and hopefully you can report back saying the CBRD is willing to hire a consultant to do it all, and it will take one more thing off your plate, Gordon.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hi there, yeah. The motion that was passed tonight, I'm not sure exactly, maybe I got something wrong here. Does this mean that if I have a concern as a resident of this community, that they won't be answered because Mr. Mason would be too busy in the other things he's doing? Because in most local governments, when you ask council people questions, they'll come back with an answer. Maybe I misunderstood something there in what Rick was saying about everyone being busy in the office and you don't have time for questions. Or is it just certain people's questions? Or I just want you to clarify that. If I have a concern, that it's going to be answered.
Well, you can, yeah. That's why you're asking questions here tonight.
No, I mean if I email your office, will you answer my question? Will you return my email?
Yes, if it's something that we can answer, and if it's couched in respectful terms.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else?
Yes, right here.
You've already had your one question there, and there's other, yes?
Oh, so there's, but now there's only one question.
Anybody else? You had, yes, Golly.
Not really a question, I just wanted to say that I did get the landowner's update. I almost missed it because it was with the water bill and the parcel tax and the landowner's update. So I know you're having problems with the computer right now, but maybe in the future it might be a good idea to separate them. just because I almost missed it. I saw the first page and I thought, well, there's no more. I'm used to getting the water bill on one page. So just a thought. But I did get it. It was a very good landowners update. I'm really glad we let everybody know what was going on.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. I think that's it then. We'll call it
We adjourn.
Okay. Second.
See? He's gonna put it on.
Yep. 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 Yep.